Hi, I'm Scott Brison, and I'm here at the University of Saskatchewan, where I've just had a great meeting with students here and also the University of Regina to talk about digital government. I am President of the Treasury Board for the Government of Canada and Minister of Digital Government. And it's great to be here and have an opportunity to hear from young people, the citizens who have a lot of ideas on how we can move the needle and up our game in terms of digital government. Well, I say that we can't be a blockbuster government serving a Netflix citizenry, and the reality is digital service providers, private sector, have changed people's expectation levels in terms of the way they want to receive services and the quality of the services they receive. The focus of these service providers, whether it's Netflix or Amazon as examples, are really on providing services that are shaped around individual customers. And government can do the same thing. We can enable citizens to shape the services they receive. And government digital gives us the ability not just to provide better digital services, but I think can help us build a closer relationship between citizens and government than we've ever had. I think citizens are ahead of government on this, and I think that if we don't get this right, and if we don't give digital services that are consistent with people's expectation levels that have been shaped by other providers, that our relevance to citizens is imperiled, our connection with citizens is imperiled. If we don't deliver good digital services to people that reflect the same quality of the other services they're receiving from other providers, that really our relevance to citizens and our connection to citizens is threatened. Well, the digital mindset, and the three principles that guide this is, number one, being user-centric and letting the users, the customer, in our case citizens, shape the services they receive. Number two, being agile and iterative, trying new things, starting small, scaling up. And number three, working in the open by default, open data, open source, creating open innovation. Those are really important, and what we've done is we're building a digital team within the Government of Canada, led by our CIO of the Government of Canada, Alex Benet, but also our Canadian Digital Services Unit headed by Aaron Snow, that are bringing in top digital minds to bake in those principles into all the new service delivery mechanisms that we move forward on, so that effectively our objective is to provide the same quality of service to citizens when they renew a passport that they've come to expect from Amazon when they buy something. That's the our competition in some ways is with other governments, because I think there's a real advantage to governments that do this well, even in terms of the digital ecosystem, and the digital startup environment is better if you have good digital government. But the real competition is with the other providers of other types of services unrelated to government, in terms of how people, what people's expectations are. A couple things. One is if services are delivered digitally, and if they are very much user-centric, the capacity for citizens to actually shape the services they receive in real time, so that it's not a monolith that you have one service that one size fits all, but you actually take into account every citizen's needs and their preferences. That is an extension of democracy in some ways, in that citizens can not only make their views known on election day in terms of things that are important to them, but in little ways and big ways, they can shape the services they're receiving from government. And the service is going to reflect, again, their needs, but also their preferences. That is a form of democratic engagement in real time. And again, it builds a close relationship in the same way that you build relationships with people who understand your needs and your preferences in terms of the relationship you have with people. Well, that's the same with businesses with which you deal in a digital environment particularly, but it's the same with government. So it strengthens the bond. Well, a couple things. One is the policy development part is really important. And public policy schools, developing people's public policy understanding is important. But the two shiny objects to which public servants are drawn often, or when people join the public service, are policy and communications. And the assumption is if you get the policy right and you get the communications right, that the rest of it just takes care of itself and things just implement themselves and projects just execute. And the reality is, I would urge students to also think about things like procurement and project management. It's important that while we continue to develop great public policy minds, that we also strengthen our capacity within government to manage large, complex projects. And public policy people can also be good project managers. So that's the part of it. Everybody has flat edges, and if the government of Canada needs to up its game in terms of a particular human resource area, we need to put more emphasis on project management. We need to put more emphasis on procurement, particularly in areas of complex procurement like digital. So I would urge students here to, of course, policy is important, but also the degree to which you can learn and be interested in more about project management, I think is really important too. Well, I think in the same way that citizens helping shape the services we receive and being relentlessly focused on the users, in our case the citizens and their needs, is important. I think the degree to which we can have more young people helping shape the digital agenda for our government, the better. Digital for young people today is like breathing. It's not an afterthought. In fact, in a lot of cases, digital is invisible. It's just how they're doing things. In the same way that we used to convene through physical meetings or town halls, digital gives us the ability to convene people with the same interests or objectives in real time, 24/7, anytime, anywhere in the world. And so I think we need more young people driving the digital agenda within government.